If you can't hear this, then your system is not audiophile. So a while ago I made a video titled, "If you can't hear this, then you're not an audiophile." At issue was a recording of solo clarinet and orchestra where the clarinet dances wildly and widely across the stereo image, literally from note to note. It isn't subtle, it's extreme, a result of the natural movement of the player being exaggerated by the placement of the microphones. My guess was that anyone who is genuinely an audiophile would spot this immediately, and anyone else either wouldn't notice or wouldn't care. And if they don't care, they won't notice. I'm going to play the clip in a moment, but I'll say in advance that I want to separate out the issue of whether you like it or not, and concentrate on whether you can hear it. But I made a mistake with my original video. I naively thought that because the title of the vid included the word audiophile, anyone who was interested would be listening on at least decent quality hi-fi or decent quality headphones or earbuds. Wrong. Judging from the comments, at least half of my viewers were listening on their phone or tablet speakers, many of them in mono, so there's little or no chance they would have heard anything. And, apparently, that's my fault. So, I'm going to turn this around. Anyone, unless they have a problem with their hearing, and anyone even up to my advanced age, will absolutely be able to hear this issue, if you have good enough equipment. So, it isn't a test of you, it's a test of your equipment, your system. If you can't hear it, then your system is not audiophile. Here's the clip. What you're listening for is the movement of the clarinet in the stereo image. The clarinetist, by the way, is the amazing Roland Hendricks. Now, I'll say again, I'm not asking you to like it, or not. I'm not even asking whether it's an accurate representation of what you would hear at a concert, which, as a concert goer, I can tell you, it isn't. I'm asking if you can hear that sometimes the clarinet is way over to the left, sometimes way over to the right, sometimes random places in between. And this can change from note to note. For reference, I first noticed this while out for a walk with my iPhone and fairly but not ludicrously high-end headphones. If I listen with a pair of earbuds, Soundpeats Air 4 Pro, that I have handy, fairly cheap, fairly cheerful, I can hear the effect easily, but not quite as clearly as with my headphones. If I listen on my near-field monitors, which, where I'm sitting today, are my B&W DM100s, I can hear it, but it's not crazy bad. If I listen on my home cinema B&W 801s, the effect is huge, and, to me, not really a pleasant listen. But then, I'm not asking whether I like it or you like it or whether it's realistic. Can you hear it? That's the question. And whether you can hear it and to what extent will depend on your system. So, may I suggest that you pause the video and comment now? I'll have more to say in a moment. Commenting is good, and liking other people's comments that you agree with is good too. It helps the best and most insightful comments rise to the top, which is good, even if you disagree with me. If you're with me so far that this is interesting, and if you're interested in audio, an audiophile you may be, then surely you'll want to check this out for yourself to the best standard possible. So here's what you do. You go to Presto Music using the link I've put in the description. That will take you to this page. You don't need to buy the whole album, just the track I've played here. So, over on the right, click on High Res FLAC, but don't buy that. Now you can go down to the individual tracks and buy the 7th track on the list, by itself for a mere £1.48 GBP, or I'm sure a near equivalent in your local currency. Come on, it's worth less than £2 to find out if your system is audiophile. I don't get any commission, by the way, from this link. I've put an Amazon link down there too, from which I do. Thank you very much. Do your weekly shopping while you're there. Now that you can try this for yourself, we have the question of how accurate your system's stereo imaging is. If you can't hear the movement, then I'm going to say that your stereo imaging is not of audiophile quality. Nowhere near, in fact. But maybe you're cycling through city streets wearing one earbud, so that's what you would expect. But if you can't hear the movement in your listening room and what you thought was your high-end audiophile system, then clearly there's a problem. Let's not rush in and blame your equipment straight away, however. It could be your room. Or maybe you like to listen from a long way back, and stereo is more a matter of spaciousness than precise directionality. I could ask the question whether the more you hear the movement, the better the stereo imaging of your system is. So perfection is at one end of a spectrum, and anything else is worse than that. Or is there an optimum amount of movement, and it's possible that someone's system could be exaggerating the stereo image beyond what's merely faithful to the recording. Also, there's the issue of whether two wrongs make a right. So the engineer and producer of this recording may consider that the performer moves a lot, which he does. It's part of his natural expression. But most listeners won't hear that movement because their systems are not sufficiently resolving, if I can use that word. So they deliberately position the microphones to exaggerate the movement so that ordinary listeners can enjoy it. At this point, perhaps we can consider that a system could be too highly resolving. After all, suppose you're at a concert of acoustic instruments and voices, classical, jazz, folk, barbershop quartet, whatever. How much detail can your ears resolve? When an engineer starts putting microphones inside the ensemble, what's going down on tape, as we used to say, is way more resolved than what a concertgoer hears, even in the best seat in the house. Then, all that detail is mixed and mastered in 24-bit 96 kHz resolution, and you, as an audiophile, have a system that can transfer all of that resolution to the air in your listening room. You're not getting the concert hall experience. Clearly, you're not. So perhaps if your system was less resolving, you would be more happy. Okay, I'm in danger of going too far with this. Or maybe I'm not going far enough. Time to comment again. My questions for you are these. Did you hear the stereo imaging issue? If you have more than one system, speakers or headphones, or more than one listening room, did you hear the issue differently? If you thought the amount of movement was just right and you enjoyed it, can you accept that your system or listening room is blurring things that other people, other audiophiles, can hear clearly? Anything else? What haven't I covered? See you soon.
My listening chair levitates on magnetic pads. Using my remote control, I can move backwards and forwards to get exactly the amount of stereo imaging resolution that I want. My next upgrade will include automation so that I can wander about the stereo image too.